On number 18 in our countdown, we talked of that period in Indian cricket where a quartet of spinners led the country to some of their most glorious test wins. And we also talked about how they left behind a strong spin tradition in the country. It's a legacy that's been carried forward by several special talents in the decades that have followed. One of them has had the most interesting trajectories because at an age where his predecessors had made their India debut, he was still enjoying playing cricket on the streets of Chennai. And even then, dreaming of opening the batting with Sachin Tendulkar. Luckily, that didn't happen. Remember, Tendulkar wanted to be a bowler. This man wanted to be a batter. And I say luckily because what happened instead is one of Indian cricket's greatest stories. And it's not a Kutty story at all. So today, on number 17 on this countdown called India's Top 25, we talk about the arrival and the impact of Ravichandran Ashwin. In the previous episode, we discussed that Indian cricket, because of several factors, has a history of producing more spinners than fast bowlers. In fact, from Vinu Mankad to Bishan Bedi to Harbhajan Singh, India has produced some great finger spinners across its cricketing history. So you might think that maybe the arrival of yet another spinner is not such a big thing after all. But the truth is that the story of Ravichandran Ashwin is very different. From being a young boy in Chennai dealing with TB to having a massive impact on India's dominance in tests in the last decade, it's been one hell of a ride. And that's why it's a story worth recounting. As a young boy, Ashwin inherited his love for cricket from his father, who was a fast bowler in lower division league cricket. He was still playing the game, by the way, when Ashwin was a young boy and was doing everything to ensure that his little Ash also developed a deep interest in the game. And this included, mind you, studying everything that Ashwin had to do so that he could teach his son. Remember the story? Cheteshwar Pujara repeated with Ravichandran Ashwin. But very interestingly, Ashwin's dad was preparing him to become a batter. And batting was what Ashwin kept himself occupied with into his late teens. But then a hip injury that resulted in him gaining 25 kilos in 6 weeks. Can you imagine that? Kept him away from the field. And when he went back to the field, he wasn't allowed to bowl. So he couldn't do much after getting out early. And Ashwin always wanted to be involved in the game. That was something his mother wasn't too pleased with either. And the result was that he started to bowl off spin. I know I'm doing this, but with Ashwin, it's this, it's everything. The hip injury came with its own challenges, though, and even threatened to derail the teenager's progress as a cricketer. And while it couldn't do that, it left Ashwin with a body that was always catching up to the needs of the game. It even kept Ashwin away from the ground for a period where he wasn't selected because of his weight. But such was his love for cricket. He kept playing the game on the streets of Chennai and kept honing his skills. But can skills developed on the streets be the foundation of a cricket career at the highest level? This Ashwin story shows that it can. While he'd missed the chance of emulating the likes of Anil Kumble and Harbhajan Singh to play for India before turning 20, the skills developed in the streets did get him a chance in a format that had just emerged in the early 2000s. The T20 format, which many thought would turn out to be the graveyard of spinners, actually turned out quite different instead. And while Ashwin had played first-class cricket for 2 years now for Tamil Nadu, the skills developed on the streets got him his big break in the IPL. Bowling under the captaincy of another street-smart cricketer, MS Dhoni, Ashwin ended up playing a huge role in Chennai's first IPL trophy. So from T20s, in a matter of a few months, he climbed the ODI ladder and only the next year went on to play a small but a fairly significant role in India's 2011 World Cup win. But this was all with the white ball. And that's why I find Ashwin's arrival to Indian cricket such an interesting story, because it's almost as if he took the back door to Test cricket, a format where he would end up taking 500 wickets in. He first made his mark in the shortest format and then progressed to get the selector's faith in ODIs. And then, at the ripe age of 25, certainly in Indian cricket considered a ripe age, he played his first test for Team India. And in his first ever series against the visiting West Indies team in 2011, he made such a big impression. His 22 wickets earned him a Player of the Series award. The reason Ashwin's arrival is so important is because there was this brief period where India's grip on its home domination seemed to be slipping away. The loss to England at home in 2012 stung more because the English spinners seemed to outperform the Indian spinners. Ashwin himself had a series to forget, not taking more than 3 wickets in an innings even once. There were even murmurs of him being found out against quality opposition. But one thing that has defined Ashwin is his ability to rise above challenges. Labelled as mentally tough quite early in his career by MS Dhoni, who in one of his rare conversations with me had said, "This guy will make it." The off-spinner gave ample evidence of that in the way he bounced back. In the next 5 series that India played at home, Ashwin emerged the highest wicket taker across teams every time. Of course, it helped a great deal to have the left-arm spin of Ravindra Jadeja operating in tandem, and it's something that Ashwin has acknowledged very often. And so for more than a decade, India's destiny at home has been linked closely to these two, not just with the ball, but with a bat as well. As a pair, these two have given India more than 6,000 test runs, along with more than 800 wickets. At this stage of his career, with more than 100 tests and 500 wickets, linger a while on those numbers. 100 tests and 500 wickets, it might seem there is very little left for Ashwin to achieve. But given the competitor that he is, who found ways to come back into the T20 and World Cup sides in 2021, in 22, in 23, you can always trust Ashwin to be setting new goals for himself. Ashwin's phenomenal success is down to those time-tested values of hard work, innovation, and constant learning. Values that will stand him in good stead, I believe, in life beyond cricket as well. Now, just like every time, a question to test your cricket quotient. Before Ravichandran Ashwin did it in 2011 against the West Indies, another Indian cricketer had won a Player of the Series award in his debut Test series in 1996. Who was this cricketer who shared with Ashwin an affinity for the number 99 jersey? Let me know in the comments. So thanks for watching, and do subscribe to this channel.